You're now tuned into the Wellbeing Wake Up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Yes. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're tuned into the Wellbeing Wake Up on the UpNUp Network. I'm your host, Rubino. Thank you guys for being here. For those who are first-time listeners tuning in, first-time viewers, the Wellbeing Wake Up is a space we created, man, to really be a sanctuary for real dialogue for direction, getting, a lot of the movers, shakers, professionals, creatives, entrepreneurs, just dope human beings, man, to come together and trade insights, trade experiences, trade knowledge, and trade experiences, as I said, and really just build. That's the whole purpose of this platform. This is episode 5. We're building, we're moving. If you've been rolling with us this far, we appreciate you. Last episode, we touched on paying it forward. And so I'm excited because I'm going to take a lot of notes out of that episode and pay for it in today's episode by sharing the stage with two brothers who I know personally, but this will be the first time they've met, which is dope. And this is actually the point of the show. Try to bridge these gaps, man, right, that exist out here. And so today I'm joined by Aaron Davis, otherwise known as Mr.UKnow, owner of Creative Styles brand platform company, as well as Najee Ladd Ali, community builder, as well as the owner of Fly Above Athletics. That's about as far as my intro is going to go. Normally I just go, you know how I go. I go crazy with the intro sometimes, but I'm going to let these two brothers introduce themselves and kind of give people a little bit of insight on some of the work they do and, learn a little bit more about you. So I'm going to pass it to my guy. Aaron, how you doing, bro?
Good, man. First of all, I want to say thank you for having me. Super excited.
Yeah.
Blessed, Like you said, love meeting and build relationships with new people. Like you said, my name is Aaron Davis, also known as Mr.UKnow, owner of Creative Styles, full-time barber, hairstylist, and just artist all around, an entrepreneur.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being here, man.
Thank you.
Peace. I'm Najee.
Hey, bring the mic a little closer to you. Yeah.
I'm Najee Ladd Ali, born and raised South Seattle. I own Fly Above Athletics. Started in 2015, really from the ground up, with my own hands, all on me type thing. And I'm also a teacher in education, and I am here to combine the health and the education and everything that we can to elevate people, and elevate the community through what I do, And so, yeah, man, that's why I'm here, and I'm just here to elevate and connect and continue to get better.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this, man, right? Like, I feel like nowadays we can create damn near anything we want, right, in terms of content, but I feel like this is something that can be a vehicle to drive, right? I feel like a lot of us have lived and kind of went through experiences professionally, personally, and I think it's part of our duty to kind of not hoard that, and share what we can. So now you know how we rock, man. Every episode we have overarching theme, something to kind of give us a little bit of navigation in terms of direction and where we want to go. And today's theme, as I discussed with you guys before, is about the generational shifts, right? Kind of touching on how every generation has something to contribute. The ones that came before us obviously laid stuff down and offered things and created things and brought forth things. And I feel like whether it's the generation, which is, our generation, millennials, or, Gen Z that's coming after and so on and so forth. Kind of wanted to just open the floor to that, man, right? I feel like we all are doing something to try to make things better, but I just want to kind of open the floor. Like, what, from your experience, how do you embrace that? Knowing that, man, okay, I'm no longer just looking at when is it going to be my time. The time is now. Like, how are you embracing that? Both y'all.
I think, as a young kid, as any kid, I feel like we're all stubborn, so like, when I would hear like older folks talk and try to give me game, for example, I wouldn't soak it up. You know, just probably most likely because I couldn't relate to him. You know, and just like I said, stubborn, selfish. And now that I'm older, I take that in consideration, and I remember back then, I'm like, man, I probably could have learned a lot more.
Yeah.
If I took the time to understand and to
Yeah.
realize what these people were saying to me.
Yeah.
So now for me, I try to be an outlet to the youth, and also be a student to them. I think that's the most important is because a lot of people want to be a master or whatever their craft is. Me, for example, I don't ever want to be a master of anything because that's the day I stop learning. So I'm always soaking up game from even somebody I know that's not even correct, just to understand why not to think like that, you know, or to maybe relate and be like, well, maybe you should try this, or maybe I'm doing something wrong too.
Yeah, that's a good point though about being a student to the youth, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like we can all learn from that. I mean, I'm sure you can speak to that.
Sure, and it's just about meeting them halfway.
Yeah.
As an educator, as a trainer, whether it's me helping kids to know which agent to go with, or to help talk to this head coach at this college and help them with their grades when I'm in the classroom, you know, just playing some type of music and the kid is asking me about this music, showing me their music, and then I'm learning how I got to connect with them and engage with them. Yeah, it's about meeting them halfway, and that's the only way we're gonna come together and grow. You know, none of this. We can't do this, tearing them down and all this because they're younger and they're ignorant. They're kids. You know,
Yeah.
You know, or we're just all learners, like you just said. So I agree with you. That's a good point. You know, I think also it's just it for me. It's also like that spiritual foundation too. You know, and that's where I've been at in my life with seeing like a lot of deaths and having all the friends gone and going through a lot of pain, and it's that spiritual foundation too, and that's a piece where we got to meet them halfway too. If you get that spiritual foundation down, then their soil would be more prepared to grow other things and to grow more than what they see in front of them. Because right now everything's fast, so it's about what they see in front of them. And when you just take what you see in front of you, that means you're going to get tricked to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? So if we can get that piece down too, and with meeting them halfway, and then with ourselves, then we can. Along with what you said, with what you said, we have growth long term exponentially, like to the highest degree.
Yeah, I like that. I think yeah, because we're still figuring it out. You know
All
what I
of
mean?
us.
All of us are still figuring it out, but I also feel like, you know when you're trying to make something shift,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know when it's like, okay, well, I may not be the one to be a part of that industrial revolution, right? I may not be a part of whatever revolution came before me, but I'm gonna try to do mine.
Well,
My
I
way.
mean, it starts with the foundation. It starts at the root and building that relationship with anybody. You know, and what I've learned in my journey is that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I feel like I've gotten a lot of respect because I like to shake hands, and I like to be, personable, and chop it up and relate and, talk story, whatever. Any way I could relate to somebody, like even if we don't know each other, it's most likely we do know somebody that knows both of us.
Yeah, that's real.
That's
So
right,
it's,
Seattle.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Especially out here.
Yeah, in the Northwest, it's small, man.
3 degrees separation out here.
Exactly. So like, it starts at the foundation and the relationship that you build with people. And I feel like that's the most important thing, man, because that's going to stick,
Now I kind of want to veer into like certain things that I feel are different generationally. And one of those things is kind of success and values. I think success may have meant something different to generations of the past and what that looked like. I feel like it's different now. I think people find success in a lot of different things than they probably once, than what was once kind of valued as successful, right? Purpose, being able to kind of find a way to make impact. I think these are things that people are deeming to make you successful now. And success is relative, obviously, right? But like, how have you guys seen that change?
I feel like that's a good evaluation, and I think that is happening. And partly is I feel it's because of social media. It's because of instant gratification. Brothers and sisters want to be validated quick. You know what I'm saying? They a little insecure in certain areas, but they're not taught about the in between. They're not taught about the hard work it takes to create something of value.
There you go.
They're just more so shown the money and what things look like to get to that thing.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that we're having now, even with athletes, even with entrepreneurs that want to do like what we're doing and stuff like that. They see the videos, they see, but they didn't see, like we talked about earlier, what you're going through with your kid. You know, they didn't see when I was fighting in court for my daughter, and I'm taking care of my fiance. You know, I'm doing my thing, taking care of my family, and then I'm studying, then I'm reading,
real
then
life
I'm training, then so they don't see the steps that this stuff, trying not to cuss, this stuff takes.
I
You
hear
know, when it to be successful, and that's that instant gratification, and that's where the, you know, some young folks they're tripping on their feet a little bit. You know, but there's some young folks that they like Paulo, my little homies, like all the little guys, they're getting to that money in their dreams quick.
Yeah.
Then they're running into a lot of the demons and a lot of the things that come with it quicker. So it's interesting.
And that's real.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a good point, bro.
I just posted, you know, it was crazy because like with what I got going on, I got my brand, you know, I create music. I got my new shop, kids, and there's a lot of highs and lows that come with this. And it's crazy. I recorded this video talking about like, you know, talking about depression and all my demons and fighting with it. And I had the video for like a month and a half. I didn't really want to post it because it was, you know, I kind of felt embarrassed. But I knew I had to post it because a lot of people on my Instagram, they see my highlights.
Yep.
But what's most important is my lowlights. And I think that's where you're talking about social media. Everybody gets caught up in this sauce, like, oh man, he's killing it, blah, blah, blah. But they don't see what goes all into this. And it's a lot of lonely nights. It's a lot of self-doubt. It's a lot of insecurities. It's a lot of, you know, people in your ear, people behind your back talking about you. And again, it's the lowlights are what are important.
Yeah.
Because that's the beauty. The struggle is the most beautiful thing, a part of the story.
That's like what makes it fun.
Exactly.
Process.
Because what do you have to reflect on?
Yep.
You know, I think that's something that I always think about that. Like if your life was a movie, like, you know, and when I'm watching a movie, I want to see a lot of different things happen. You know what I mean? I want this to have me feeling some type of way. But those are great points. I think what you touched on was dope about now with social media and how it's affecting kind of behavior and I guess society as a whole. I've always had this kind of interesting obsession with how social media somewhat has merged generations. Right?
I can see that too.
Because there was a time, and you know, we're all similar in age, but growing up, there was things that we knew was like, this is our thing. Y'all don't get it. Whether it was like little technology games, we thought we was the first. Yeah. And I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when Facebook first popped off, and like we had MySpace, but then Facebook popped off, and all of that, right? And we felt like it was ours. But what I failed to realize was the generation before us, they were using it as well. But then they started realizing, oh, I'm using it for a whole different purpose. I'm gonna benefit off this. I'm gonna try to capitalize off it. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And eventually it evolved into what has now become like everybody's using the same tools. Yeah. We all are looking at the same content. And so it's somewhat of like created a huge commonality within generations where the things that are making us laugh is making the older folks laugh. Yeah. And it's also making the kids laugh. Thanks. See what I'm saying? Yep. And this, I don't know. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that because I think you brought up social media, but I think it has a lot of different effects.
I think you're right. I think it has good effects and bad effects.
Yeah.
Like it could show my daughter, it could show my 4-year-old daughter that it's okay to dress a certain way by the time you're 11 rather than 21.
Yeah.
But it also can show like, okay, my grandma is on Facebook and she's sending me the same video that my boy just sent me.
Yeah.
You know, and it brings that togetherness in a way. I think there's
Pros and cons.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
I think I'm just observing how it's creating this. We have this in common.
Yeah.
I do agree with you though. I think like it's overly exposing to a lot of shit.
Oh yeah.
You know, but on the topic of what you were touching on, Aaron, as far as showing your lowlights
Yeah.
and then being vulnerable, I think that is important too. I think it is hard to get real context. People don't know you if they see your social media. Let's just call it what it is. You don't know these people.
Yeah.
You know, but that's one of the things that I love the most about being able to have a platform like the UpNUp where we can interview people. And it's like, yeah, we may have invited you because we kind of are familiar with what you do, but I want to know, like, let's move that out the
Deeper
way.
than that.
Yeah, how did you get here?
Yeah.
And through doing that over these years, I just started realizing the importance of context, man. Like, everybody has a story. Everybody's going through something. Everybody's been through something. Everybody's overcame something, you know, and the wins, there's so many wins, man. Not just what you can show as a highlight,
Yeah.
you know?
No, facts. I think, and you know, that's the thing is when the low lights are showing just as much as the highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's when people start to appreciate what you're doing more,
Mm.
and because they're not showing as much, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and man, I used to put so much money into all my content and social media, as you know, videography, photography, and then I just started recording. I mean, I've always been recording. I was doing YouTube 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, my content wasn't as good as it is now because I've learned. But now I do videos and just talk to my phone as a selfie, and it gets more views than a professional video sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and so I guess it's you got to find what is relatable for the people that follow you, and what, you know, the youth look up to, or the older folks want to look forward to seeing you do. So you got to find that happy medium with whatever you're doing.
So this is something I also wanted to bring to the conversation, which is you talked about older folks, different generations. Like how have y'all kind of balanced what would be tension between, hey, this is the new way we're doing it, and then traditional ways?
Talking about like our parents or just
In
people
general, because I feel like systematically it's like that too. Certain industries are like, this is how it's always done, and you're like, yo, let's be innovative here. Let's try something new. Like, have you guys seen some sort of pushback on that, or?
I think you can go ahead.
I mean, I think there's always that, again, meeting in the middle. Like I said in the beginning, you always want to be a student of learning.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, even if there's a young kid, you know, he might be able to teach me something.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be like an open book, a sponge, and just soak up anything from anybody,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And if you don't relate to it, like I said, just be like, man, let me hear more so I don't think like you, you know. But I guess it just comes down to what it's really what the topic is, and how you feel about your beliefs. You know, end of the day is we all stand for something, represent something. But I feel like me, like I said, I'm a sponge. I try to soak up game from anybody and everybody, and also give free game out because I didn't have the mentors that I want to be for other people. You know.
Yeah.
And so like I always try to, you know, I think my Instagram, a lot of people look at me different because they see so much of the highlights. Oh, he's winning competitions, always pushing out good content, you know, so it's like they look at me as like, actually I'm gonna just be real. Like I've talked to so many people that have met me and they're like, bro, you're a whole different person than what I thought you were on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'm like over 100 people because they see the highlights, they see what I represent, they see the confidence, and it's kind of like, yo, don't let my confidence offend your insecurities.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like let me try to help you.
Yeah.
Let me try to show you how I do it.
Yeah, I
You
hear
know,
you.
so
I
you
hear
gotta lead, but also teach, but also be able to, soak that in and be willing to learn too from others.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's meeting in the middle.
Everybody got a role to play.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
it starts back at the foundation in the relationship. You know,
And I agree with that. And I think also the pushback is the older generation, older than us. So we talking about our age to the 40s to 50s, 60s. I think it's the uncomfortability.
Yeah.
They don't like being uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? If we telling them if it was our grandparents or our elder in the community, we talking to them on how they could take care of their heart this holistic way and not take a whole bunch of pills and all this stuff. And you can actually heal yourself, but you got to be disciplined. You got to eat right. You can't eat dairy. You got to do this. It's the uncomfortability. And then they're just like, I've been living my whole life. Like, this is how it's been working. I'm good. So, I'm good. I don't really
That's
gotta
that
do
familiarity.
I think that's where a lot of I see a lot of struggle and back and forth with that.
I bet that's crazy. No.
Yeah, I think it exists in every industry, honestly, every space.
Yeah.
There's things that are like, this is how things have been done for years.
What do you feel? Where is that with what you do with video and all that? Where do you think that?
I mean, in media, I think in the media space, it's I feel like it exists in a way where there's like a certain integrity that in order to be respected for what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish in terms of like, I would say journalistic type of work and storytelling and really try to be respected in that realm, there are certain like principles and like traditions, undertones of like integrity that you have to keep when you're trying to like operate in that space and consider yourself a member of the media or a part of the media. And so for us, I feel like you kind of have to redefine what that looks like. I always tell people like what we do, at least through the UpNUp podcast, is new age journalism, right? It's not traditional news reporting though.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a suit. I'm not covering hard news. I'm not on the scene and that whole thing, but we're getting stories out the same way, right? And we're giving a lot of depth to these stories, and the stories are raw and letting people tell their stories the way they want to tell them. People who probably most likely aren't going to get the opportunity to, right? So what I learned is like, man, some things are in stone. You have to kind of behave and like approach it in a way that's traditional, right? I'm sure it's similar in certain sports and things like that. Like, some things are what they are. But you also have to redefine what it looks like to be in that space. And I feel like that's what we've done by coming in and saying, okay, yeah, it's a podcast, but wait, are you understanding how the podcast is being utilized, how it's being driven, and how it's also respecting the culture that exists within this thing called media by having that integrity with the way you do it. You know what I mean? So I feel like for us, it's like, for me personally, like that's how I approach it. I'm like, man, I know how this looks and I know how this is, and I respect that. But have y'all ever thought about viewing what we do in that way as well? You know what I mean? So I think there's like you said, like you can learn from that.
Yeah.
Right? That kind of gives you some guidance, but you should also kind of bring your own twist to it and define that, because you're coming in like, this is how I see I'm adding value to this. That's all we're trying to do.
That's
right?
what keeps originality and gives it more being new and organic. I think that's another thing is a lot of people get caught up in the sauce trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with social media. You see all these YouTubers with all this money and all these cars and stuff. And, even my son, man, he's like looking up to all these YouTubers, watching them. Oh, I'm going to be a YouTube star. And I'm like, listen, you might be able to get there, but it also takes a lot of work, and then with that work, you still got to be original. Yeah. And be yourself. And when you're coming across with all these YouTubers, You're going to start following these trends. And that's cool. But
Yeah.
also you got to be you.
I think also just to like add on to that, like I was mentioning earlier, like you have to define what you're doing looks like. Like you
Exactly.
have to be the one to define what that is, right? So YouTuber is just too vague for me.
Yeah.
Like podcast is too vague.
Yeah.
Like barber is too vague. Trainer is too vague. There's so much more depth to why people do what they do and the reasons why they do it and the approach they take when they do it, their mission and why they do it. Like that's the shit I care about because that's what lets people know, okay, you do the thing. There's the thing and then there's why you do the thing, how you do the thing.
Facts.
Steps.
How, you see what I'm saying? How you present yourself when you do the thing.
Also,
How you do your thing the way nobody else can do it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that to me is what I hope people think about when they're saying, hey, I want to be a YouTuber or I want to be a trainer or I want to be a photographer. Like it's like, you're just saying you want to do the thing.
Yeah.
Have you really thought about like how you want to use that thing to maybe drive it to what you care about?
And what
you see what I'm saying?
A lot of people don't understand is
there's context to that.
it takes time.
Yeah.
Patience and understanding that as you're in this journey, you're gonna grow. Like, man, like I was so money motivated for the longest time. And then till I got the first message from somebody like saying, hey, I want to thank you for like inspiring me and staying so consistent on your journey or whatever. And I'm about to go to barber school. That's priceless.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, that's a whole nother feeling, gratitude of like just success. And like what you talk about is
intangible.
Yeah, bro. Like success is different to everybody. But with that took me time.
Yeah.
That took me time. You know, I finally got some money in my pocket where I was like, man, like this is cool, but what's next?
It's just me.
Yeah, it's you know, like what's gonna fill my heart? And that's, you know, giving back to the kids, or, you know, I know you can relate to that as being a teacher, being a coach, like, and, you know, probably got a lot of kids looking up to you like, man, you know, hey, I didn't want to show up, but I showed up today because of you, you know, like, and that's priceless. You can't put a price on that.
Yeah, like it's funny, like it's like what you just said great points, and then it made me think like, okay, that's also where we're also in growth to be that older generation. We're in the process of becoming that older generation too, on top of that, because like you said, now I got kids. I just turned 33 Monday.
Happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so I just I got kids hitting me up, asking me questions as if like, you know, like when I was younger, I was looking for older guys to talk to. Now I've got the younger guys hitting me up, asking me questions. They need help with this. I need help to figure out this. What do you think about this, Najee? What do you think about this? And it made me think like, damn, okay, wow, I'm really at that age at the same time where it's my time to, like you said, pay it forward. It's my time to meet them halfway, but also not only I meet them halfway, I need to actually give them everything that I've been through so they won't make the same mistakes moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, it's a trip.
But it also makes you dig deep. Like,
and
now I got to really think.
It makes me dig deep, but then it makes me more self-aware.
Bring the mic a little closer. Yeah,
it makes me dig deep, but then it makes me more self-aware of who I am as a man and what I'm doing. Like before, when I was younger, it was like, you know, the females, Now it's like, okay, I have kids, I have a fiance. Okay, now I'm thinking of myself in a manner where I also got to carry myself a certain way.
Yeah.
Because I want to show, I don't want to just show what I'm doing. I want to actually be doing the right things when people are not looking.
Doing what I'm showing.
Yeah, so when they come around me, the energy's different.
Yeah.
You know, it hits a little different.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And like, you know, I know myself. I've been disciplining myself, doing what I need to do behind the scenes, and I've overcame. I've changed the way I think as a man. Moving forward, and now, okay, I feel good about giving this kid that advice. Like, you know, I feel like, okay, it's time for me to give him the real.
Yeah,
you know,
I think I love that, bro, because I do feel like, I don't know, man. Sometimes we'll be sought out, and maybe it's weird, but I feel like there's like imposter syndrome sometimes with that. You know how there's imposter syndrome when you go to like a new job or a new space, but like sometimes it's like someone's like, "Yo, big bro," or "Hey, I need you to be this," or "I need this from you," and some people kind of aren't used to that role. So it's not to say like you don't have nothing to share, but some people it may be their first time having to like play that role
Yeah.
of like
Facts.
big bro or whatever the case is, and giving back the game. So I think that's a
Facts.
conversation to have where, that's even more of a reason why it's important
Yeah.
to like just
Yeah.
start giving it back because you're gonna get more comfortable in doing that.
Yeah.
know
Let me
what I
tell you. Let me tell you a story too. Okay, so this what made me. I was mad at myself because of how the situation transpired.
Yeah.
I don't want to go off. If you got another question, I don't want to.
No, you're good, bro.
We just chilling, right? So first time we go to Vegas. I ain't never been to party, dude. Like I haven't been to Vegas. All that. I went to Vegas for the first time like 2 years ago. Right?
Okay.
We got a section at Aria.
Yep.
Section, right? Me, my boys, we we got a section. I look up Jamal Charles in our section because he couldn't get his own section. I don't know why. Tatum's section's next to us. And then the little homies, Jalen Noel, Jalen McDaniels, John Morant was across from us. And I'm chilling. I didn't know Jalen was my former player. I coached him at Garfield. So
Okay.
I didn't even know he was there.
Okay.
We just got our section and we walk in and he's like, Najee, we're like, what the hell? And then I'm talking to Jason Tatum and Mubamba, like we all chilling. So we had my boys had some other people come, and just come, they didn't even put in. They just came and they played football or whatever. And I didn't know these people.
Yeah.
Right. And so we chilling, having a good time, and all of a sudden a fight break out. And then the little homies were coming at me like, yo, like, and Jason Tatum, they kind of moved over here and the fight broke out. And I'm thinking to myself, we don't even know these dudes, but they looking at us like, Najee, like, what are you doing? Like, this is our section. You got to hold down your section, because they're $1 million. These are $1 million people. These are $1 million kids. They got agents. And so, but I wasn't aware enough at the time to know like, okay, I really got to be focused and serious and carry myself a certain way now with who's in my section and what's going on around me.
That makes sense.
But I didn't even have the time to even know who's who. So that right there also made me think like, dang, like, I'm like, dang, okay, like they're really looking at me.
Yeah.
Like they know me. They've been looking up to me and they're looking at me like, what's going on? Like, and I'm like, okay, I really got to be more tight on certain things. Yeah. Around when I'm around people with money and all this stuff. And it made me feel a certain way because I'm like, that happened. And like they felt some type of way, and then Tatum and all them, they moved and they were like, we ain't with them. Like, and I'm like, we don't even know the people fighting our section.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel immature in a sense.
There you go.
Of knowing how things work when it comes to being around millionaires and stuff like that and athletes. Even though I have been around, guys like that, but you got to move and operate a certain way.
Yeah.
You got to have a certain type of energy and awareness when you're around that. And that's another thing that comes to mind when that situation. I'm like, okay, they're looking at me like as in, okay, you supposed to know, like you.
Yeah. I think what you touched on though, as far as like the maturing part, I think like that's what most likely they're looking at. They're like, hey man, who's gonna like kind of guide and show like, hey man, let's do this, let's go this way, let's go that way, right? And I think most times that, but sometimes we know how to do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
We don't know how to make sure like everybody else is good. And I think that's part of the growth, the maturation. And it all ties into what we started talking about at the beginning of the show, which is generational shifts.
Yeah.
How can you be a torchbearer, or how can you be someone who's going to shift into this next generation and also usher in the next generation if you're not already practicing paying it forward. If you're not practicing, like you said, kind of being that example, showing them how to move. I'm not telling you how to do anything. Because you're going to do what you want to do regardless. But at least showing people how to move and carrying yourself, like you said, carrying yourself in a way where it's like, yo, this is what I feel is going to be the best way to go. And, this is what has worked for me. And, but yeah, no, it's a process, bro. Yeah. It's a process.
I think like showing like what you explained and some of what you explain is like showing we talk about the younger generation, showing the younger generation exactly what we've been through and telling them exactly what we've been through is the only way we're going to get them to really listen as they approach the process of their own journey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we're missing. Like you said, they want the shiny stuff. They want the all that they want to do. I think, you know, I got a kid right now I'm helping with college, figure out what his college moves are. I talked to an agent, his head coach yesterday, and he's like, I could do this, I could do that. I'm like, okay, so are you willing to hold yourself accountable to take care of this? Do you know that this happens once you get there? Do you know you got to do this? Like, you know, I've been through this. This is what I've been through. This is how it really is. This is not what you really think it is. This is how it really is. So do you know? It's not like, what can I do? What I think I can do. What do you know? Did you study? Did you prepare yourself? Those kind of conversations would get them like, oh, like, okay, you're right. No, I didn't. I'm just blaming other people. I didn't hold myself accountable. I don't know. I didn't study. I don't know how to become a barber. I didn't study what school to become a barber.
Man.
I just went on YouTube and now I'm a barber and now I'm posting video. Nah, there's a process to become a barber. I love that you're a barber because I come from a family of barbers.
Yeah.
My grandfather in the 80s owned a shop in the Central District and he gave it to Earl. Earl is my OG. And then he went to South and opened the shop. But all my family cuts hair. My mom went to barber school. She does hair. My dad cuts hair. So like I have respect for barbers and I love what you're doing. But yeah, they don't know exactly what it takes throughout this process. And you know, and I think that's just one other key factor.
That's a good point, bro. Because when you're talking about how you're giving guidance, you're like, hey man, this is how it was for me. This is what's gonna happen. This is what I think you should do, and excuse me, whatnot. What I also realized is like we were all once that age. And I can attest, there's been a lot of times where I'm like, man, I'm not trying to hear that. Or, nah, let me figure it out for myself. Whatever that is in the youth, we all eventually experience that. Stubbornness, right? And I think part of that is a little bit of like, hey, I want to be my own person. And then I also think what makes the difference for a lot of people and what gets them on their way quicker is the ones who listen and like take heed to what's being said. It's not to say that what's being said is law or is true, right? Because it may not be. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's the ones who are willing to take it and listen. And this is coming from someone who literally was like, I don't know if I did the best job of that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So it may have took me a little bit longer to get to where I wanted to go or like get on my path, and I know that now, right? So it's I think that's a difference maker for a lot of people.
But I think sometimes you need to make mistakes. Actually, I know sometimes you need to make mistakes. You need to fail. You need to mess up because that's what transforms you into becoming what you're about to become. And I love how you talk, like just switch that whole learning experience into barbering, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen young artists go through cosmetology or barbering, do the whole school, and they don't even end up going to take their test to get licensed. You know what I'm saying? So they
go cut hair without getting the license, or they just
some folks do. Some folks do that.
Yeah.
Some folks are really good though.
Yeah.
But still, at the end of the day, you need that license.
Yeah.
You need that license. It don't matter if you went to school.
Yeah.
If you don't got that license,
it's not legit.
You about to get your shop owner fined, or they can even make sure that you never get licensed. Like that license is the most important thing.
Got you.
It's kind of like going through school all 12 years and not getting a GED.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not even graduating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what's the whole purpose?
You're right about that.
You know?
They want to do the thing.
Yeah.
You know,
but you gotta have integrity. You gotta take the right steps.
Yeah, you gotta have that structure.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like it's just you gotta lock in. Tunnel vision on what is. Yeah, school might suck. Yeah, you might have to work long hours, long days. Yeah, you might have to work for free. But just because that's finished doesn't mean it's all done.
Yeah.
What really matters is that last test, that last senior project.
Yeah.
To get to that last point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I really, I grew up with an IEP, so I feel like I go hard due to that, because I used to get made fun of a lot because I couldn't read couldn't spell, couldn't do math. So I realized from a young age I was an artist, and I was like, man, if I'm gonna be successful, it's gonna be from my hands. And so like I think that was kind of like my focus on to be like successful.
There
You know what I mean? Like I was always getting made fun of. I'd be in front of the class stuttering to read a sentence. So I think what school lacks in is really teaching us the right thing. But what I appreciate of schooling is it builds a structure. And I think structure is most important than what they teach, what's going on in school. Like, why are we not learning taxes? Why are we not learning how to invest in ourselves or build a business? And so I think, I think really that's what school should be about.
Yeah.
No,
That's real.
Gonna happen though.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
but I actually, what you're saying is exactly what I did at the school I taught. Like I was teaching kids. I built a curriculum to teach kids how to start their own business.
Yeah.
Each person had to help them find a logo.
Okay.
I helped them go on the Washington State website,
Okay.
the LLC. I taught them how to go on and choose a website. I had to make an Instagram. I had to make a mission statement and all that. So, but you're right, that does need to be in school. But the reason being that they're not going to put it in school is because it's just about
they want everybody in the
money,
rat
but they want to be
race.
dumbed down too. They don't
but
want them to think like that.
There's a lot of different channels to still get the message out.
Yeah,
right?
facts.
Which I think.
Like this right here. Just,
Right here, man, right here,
even
right
while
now.
you're cutting somebody's hair, because I know I didn't learn. My OG Ennis down on Rainier, I didn't learn so much from him from a haircut. But growing up, that's how it's always been too. We get our haircut. It's like soul food.
It's therapy.
So it's like we get a haircut, but
Counseling.
it's like my grandpa was talking to me about this, or my dad come here. He's talking to me about this. I go to the homie in the hood. He's talking to me about some conspiracy theories, and we're talking about some deep stuff, and I'm learning more than him than I learned in the classroom. So, like you said, there's channels, there's different ways.
Nah, for sure.
Communication is
For sure.
shit.
Definitely, man. Nah, this has been a great conversation, y'all. It's important, man. And I never know how these episodes are gonna go. I always say this, but I know that for a fact that when you just get an intention set and we come in, we're always able to have powerful conversations and dialogue. And again, this is for all of us in the room, but then it's for the listeners and the viewers, right? To take it, and then hopefully they carry this topic and have that conversation with their folks.
Facts.
And then get their wheels turning on it, right? Because I feel like this is a generational conversation, right? Now, before we do wrap things up, we always end every episode by giving the audience one well-being tip of the day. Each of us provide one well-being tip of the day. Do either of you want to start?
I'll go first.
There you go. Because I got to figure out what mine is going to be.
I would say the rising is the best time to elevate yourself, meaning when you wake up. I try not to use the word morning because it means death technically in the English language. So rising. Wake up at 5, 6 a.m. Just like make sure you either meditate, stretch, read, go run, walk, or work out, lift, do something to get your mind and brain going, sit in cold bath, cold water. I do that as well. A lot of this stuff is what I do. And then, move on to the emails or the grind or scheduling clients and all that stuff. Just grab a hold of when you wake up and kind of micromanage that and make that focus about you and your peace, and then build momentum after the fact. It's kind of like you said, school is good for structure. Like, yeah, it's good for structure. Also, it's good because you got to wake up at a certain time. You got to get there at a certain time, right? So it's like, okay, now if I gotta wake up, if I got class at 8:30 and 9, okay, or if I'm an athlete, okay, and okay, I'm gonna wake up at 5. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna pray. Now I'm gonna eat breakfast. Then I go to school, or I'm gonna go shoot shots. Then I go to school. Just have that certain type of foundation that can push you into not just the day, but life. in general. You know what I'm saying? With finding that mental health stability.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
Because we
important.
all had that mental health piece is important. I've been through a lot with my situations and things like that, and got a therapist and all that kind of stuff. So
That's good.
attack that day when you wake up. Meditate, breathe, pray, stretch, eat right, eat fruits, vegetables, and things like that to elevate your brain, your body.
Sets the tone.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if
Love
that was
that.
long winded, but
Shit, that was a good ass tip, man.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I would say, stay true to your vision, lock in, stay inspired, meaning, know that there's going to be a lot of self-doubt, but always stay consistent and stay faithful to your vision. I think that's what's important.
I like that.
Because no matter what, you're going to go through these highs and lows with self-doubt, people talking, and as long as you're staying faithful to what you represent, what you do, and staying consistent, you'll be able to get to the next step. And the next step's going to take you to the next step. But it starts with you. End of the day.
Faith. That faith is big.
Oh.
That's everything. Those are solid. My well-being tip would be, man, I would say, give yourself grace. I think that's something I definitely am constantly trying to practice more and more, and not just gratitude for the things that you have, but giving yourself grace for the things that you've done today. Like, just always, like, end the day sometimes, oh man, you did a good job, bro. You did a good, even if you didn't get everything that you wanted to get done or whatever the case is, like, you have to have that self-talk to offer yourself grace, because a lot of times, where else are you going to get it from, right? So that's my well-being tip. Give yourself grace. If you made it through the day, if you accomplished all your goals, that's great. If you didn't, that's great too, right? But you got to give yourself grace to move forward to the next day, so we can rise, right?
Yeah.
Patience.
Hell yeah. Man, Aaron, Najee, appreciate both y'all for being here, man. Real talk, man. Making time coming here and helping this series continue on and build, right? This is the 5th one. Throw the 5s up, yeah. It's the 5th one, man. So that just speaks to the consistency and people showing up, man, for each other. And for those listening and tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. And until the next one, everybody be well. Thank you.